on this Tuesday, September 26th. Actually, it's Wednesday, September 27th for you guys. I always forget that. Would you guys prefer not to do this session?
No, we are not ready. We are mint. Okay.
So you guys do want to do the session? Because we could always like split up into buddy teams and get work done. Because there's a lot of work to do. So what about what about helping with like note taking or facilitation, timekeeping?
Guys, why are you silent? I can help with the note taking.
And who is that?
I cannot help that.
I think she gave me an albino. Yeah.
Okay. How about timekeeping?
I can help with this.
Okay. How about timekeeping? So Lucy for timekeeping, and master task responsibility master.
Me.
Abdul. Oh, and video indexer. Abdul and Luke. All right, so how about some check-ins? Anyone else for check-ins? That's just got here. All right, well, why don't we skip the check-ins then today, if since you guys just had the life support session. How about we move on to desired outcomes and topics?
I think there's a noise there.
So my desired outcome is to try to get through some of the backlog of topics and training. That would include things like wherever we left off last time. Why did someone just delete all of the notes? What happened to the notes? So I don't think we're doing check-ins because no one seemed to be interested in it, and we just did the other thing. So all right, here we go. All right, so what was our last session? I don't remember. We did Austrasia, right? So let me pull up the notes for Austrasia. So we had team organizing, buddy team organizing, calendar updates, reducing workload, other new moon topics, recruitment, training videos, sextant schedule. Yeah, all this looks great. Other desired outcomes. calendar updates. We did the calendar updates, didn't we? I think we did this as well. Are there any other topics, or should we just go through this?
I'm good with it.
I think we can.
You guys, you don't have topics that you can discuss?
Like, this is your chance to bring up your responsibilities. This is when you ask questions for training. So basically what I'm hearing from you guys is you guys know how to do everything. You're perfectly fine at everything. You have no questions, nothing to bring up, that you're good to go for the entire next 2 weeks.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah?
You first, Joyce. Okay.
Jay, we came up with the Stracia schedule yesterday.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean yesterday?
After the session, me and Eileen and Abigail met together to organize the Stracia schedule.
Okay, so we could talk about that next week at the Austrasia main session. Did you have a specific question about it? Like, what's the question about it?
Yeah, we just want to ask if can they already implement the schedule like today?
Well, I don't know what the schedule that you're talking about is, but I'm assuming that
The BT schedule.
The weekly schedule. So I mean, basically, your guys' focus should be learning responsibilities so that you can get work done, so that you can get to level 4 and schedule your independent sessions.
Okay, so
like if you guys are focusing on just scheduling and going off and doing things, you don't know how to do anything. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, you guys need to be, your focus should not be on the schedule. Your focus should be on the responsibilities and the work.
Yeah, they already signed up for 5 responsibilities each.
Sure. So choose one of them, right? If you don't know, if you have 5 responsibilities and you have any question about any of them, this is your chance. So basically, I mean, I think we're ready to move on because it sounds like nobody has anything else they want to bring up. But this is it. You know, we have 45 minutes here. This is our time to discuss anything, and it doesn't. I think that we're ready to move on because unless people have other items, there's no point in talking about nothing. So are we ready to move on, or are there any other specific items that you want to bring up? And I mean, I'm happy to bring up the entire Austrasia session as another topic, right? So Austrasia session schedule, but I mean, that just doesn't seem like a priority. But maybe we'll get to it.
Jay, can we have some discussion on Venus and Mars this session?
The what?
I mean, how to on Venus and Mars session.
What do you want to talk about Venus and Mars session?
Yeah, about attending the people, how many people, or how to invite them, or what will be the criteria for inviting the people, or who can attend. I mean, all that stuff.
Well, the Venus and Mars session are definitely open to the public, but I mean, we're so backlogged with work and not getting all the work done that it's very difficult to really launch go public right now for the Venus and Mars session. I mean, we could try, but it's just like, I think that mainly our focus should be on how to reduce our workload and to cut down all of the work that needs to get done, as opposed to try to give ourselves additional responsibilities. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Also, what about economic space manager? What's the work for that? Myself there, and I don't know exactly what I should do.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what position that you have. You could mention it, but I've heard EXA manager positions. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a priority. That's important. So we can add that to the list.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah.
I think YouTube recording, not share your screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I should share my screen here as well.
Yeah, now it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
What about independent support? Information support.
Information support, what's that?
Plasma, in bracket, independent information support. Are you able to discuss on that?
Are you talking about Plasma?
Yeah, plasma. Yes.
Yeah, that would be really cool to get into that. I don't know if we're gonna get to that, but it's good to have on the list. And this also relates to UMBUS, which would be great to get more into UMBUS. All right. Well, I think we're pretty good for now. Organizing buddy teams, reducing workload, priorities. 5 to 10 minutes. New recruit training videos. Sextant schedule.
Jay, what about the EXADAO? I have a question on that.
All right, EXA. You mean FQNDAO or EXADAO?
EXADAO.
EXADAO. All right. Well, that would be another topic, but we can talk about it some with the management position stuff because that relates to our client. All right. So, are we good to get started?
Yes.
All right. So let's go into organizing buddy teams. Just to make sure we do everything correctly, are there any objections to our desired outcomes and topics?
No, for me, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
No objections from my side.
Okay, so think we're good. So let's go into organizing our buddy teams. So the first thing I want to cover with the buddy teams is individual work sessions. So everybody, the policy is that everyone can do 1 hour of individual work session per week. All right, so obviously if you get into your work and you're getting good stuff done and you accidentally go a little over and you do 1.5 hours, it's not a big deal. Or you do 45 minutes one day, or a half hour one day and an hour another day. It's like an 1.5 hours with whatever. But the point is that the policy is that we give 1 hour. But remember, anytime you do work, communication, anything, you log it into your work report. Right? And that's because we want everything to go in the work report because it's value. Anytime you're working on client work, anytime you're working on anything, it creates value that we want to be able to either charge our clients or build into our equity systems. So just always track all of your work, but the policies are there to make sure that our budgets aren't just overflowing. I mean, we have very limited budgets, so people just can't endlessly work and not get work done. If you actually do priority work, you can do as much priority work as you want to and make as much money as you want to. You just need to focus on the priority work that needs to get done. Does anyone not understand that? Should I say that one more time? Does anyone want to put that in their own words? Could someone repeat the concept of how you get assigned work to do? Can someone repeat how you get assigned work to do on your own time, so you can do unlimited amounts of work?
Yeah, I think we need to spend at least 1 hour, as you said.
But that wasn't my question. Our policy is that you can only do 1 hour of independent work per week.
Yeah.
Right? But how can you do more than 1 hour?
You can do more than 1 hour when you have priority topics that need to be done. Getting work done, that's priority work.
Yeah. So if you just focus on the priority work that needs to get done and you learn how to do it, you can do it as many hours as you want to. And we literally have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of work to do if people will simply focus on the priorities that need to get done and get them done. So, okay, cool. So independent buddy team. So I'm going to go to the session support project, and that's actually part of what this is. This is actually worker coordination and session support. So we can add that. So this is all about sessions. So we have the project categories. Project categories is worker coordination and session support. So I come over here, I go to session support. And we're starting to lay out our work session policies. And so there's individual work session policies, and then there's single buddy team policies, and there's multi-buddy team policies, and the whole leadership buddy team protocols, which we've already been starting, and people have been starting to learn about them. So in the terms of the individual session policies, the most important thing is like the rules, right? So everyone could do 1 hour per week of independent individual sessions, right? At level 4, this would be level 3. At level 4, you can do 2 hours per week of individual sessions, right?
Yes.
I think that's pretty much the only rules. Like, I guess the other thing is that, you know, when you do your session, you still get on the Hangout, right? So we'll cover that here. So individual session process. So let me go ahead and just copy and paste this over here. So when you're doing an individual session, you want to log your session on the master schedule notes, or you know the doc or whatever. Like, you need to have some notes. If you just create a doc and you have your own notes, that's fine. But the idea is that you would work with the existing weekly master schedule notes, but you need to note down some essential priorities there, right? So you get on the Hangout next, right? To see if anyone's there. You could get on the Hangout first and then do the notes, you know. If there is someone there, then you would go into the buddy team policies.
5 minutes left for that topic.
Perfect, thank you. So are there any questions about what you do? Like, what do you do if you're doing an individual session and you get on the Hangout and there's somebody there? What do you do?
Yeah, if you get to hang out and you get someone, you need to maybe you work with that person also.
Yeah, you
will immediately, create buddy team.
Yeah, so you just do a buddy team, right? So if you're planning to do an individual session,
It was but different one.
what? Cool. So anyways, the point is that you get on the Hangout. If somebody's there, you can just go right into a buddy team session, right? If no one is there, then you stick with your individual session and you just stay on the Hangout. If no one's in the Hangout, you stay on the Hangout in case someone comes, including anyone from the public. I mean, eventually we want people to be on the Hangout 24/7 in case anyone shows up in the public, right? You add your priorities to your notes. from your main doc and you update it as needed. You update your priorities on your buddy team schedule, right? And then you decide what you're going to focus on and you do your work, and then you update the work reporting, eval, and spreadsheet, right? And that's where you put your work on the work report, the work tracking and reporting spreadsheet. And that's it. And then you want to remember to update your work report. So that's pretty much an individual session. Are there any questions on doing an individual session?
No question. Claire, understand this one.
Cool. All right, so let's go on to the single buddy team session policies. The first thing is that one of the most important things we need to start thinking about here is really getting work done. So what's the purpose of a buddy team session?
Getting work done.
Yeah. So
person can get your work done.
yeah, so if you don't have anything to work on, then maybe you should, not attend, right? Like the idea is that if you're gonna come to a buddy team session, you should already know what you're gonna do. If you don't know what to do, your top priority is to ask for help. And this is the time you ask for help at the main weekly sessions and in your buddy teams, right? As a new member, you have a ton of videos to watch. We even give you extra hours. There's all the video recordings, right? So that's work. So you can come to your buddy team session and you can watch the videos. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So the point is that like you come to buddy team sessions with work, not to figure out what to do. Additionally, let's say you have 3 people who are in a buddy team together, right?
Yeah.
How many priorities that you know how to do you need to have between the 3 of you? How many? Okay, let's say you have 3 people at a buddy team, 3 people at a buddy team. How many priorities do you need to have to focus on work between the 3 people?
At least maybe you can have maybe 3 or less than 3 or more than 3.
Well, of course, it's going to be either 3, less than 3, or more than 3. Like that's all options. So what? Just choose one of them. What is the minimum number? What is the minimum number of priorities needed to get work done in a 3-person buddy team? Right. This means that this
minimum 3.
Okay, so one person says 3. Anybody else?
There is no minimum.
No minimum? Okay. So let me rephrase the question.
Okay, there is no.
Basically, but what I'm trying to get to is the idea that that every person has 5 responsibilities, right? So immediately at the beginning of the session, you list your responsibilities. Okay, so let's go back to the process, right? So here's the process for your buddy team process. And the first thing that you want to do is record. So you always record your buddy teams. You get your template buddy team notes. So you all have notes. You list each person's priorities. So that's step 3. So you immediately at the beginning of the session, you list all your responsibilities and priorities, right? So priorities can be more than just responsibilities. They can be tasks. They can be, projects, whatever, right? Priorities are broader than responsibilities, but everyone's supposed to have a minimum of 5 responsibilities, right? So between 3 people, there should be a minimum of 15 responsibilities right? Listed, correct? And that should happen within step 3. Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then really quickly, we can look at an example. So here's an example of me and Nelly, right? We want to get organized. We got our priorities. And I have about 10, 15 priorities. Nelly has about 8 or 9 priorities, okay?
Yeah.
So there's an example. And that should happen very, very quickly in just a few minutes, all right? So if you have, and what's important to note here is that you'd have between 3 people, there would be a minimum of 15 responsibilities, or let's just say priorities, right? So then the next question would be, between 3 people, what is the minimum number of active, like work-focused top, priorities that you need to get work done? So if you have 15 priorities, you might not know how to do all of them. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So to get work done, you have to know how to do something, correct?
Yeah.
Right? So the question is, between 3 people, what is the minimum number of active work-focused priorities that you need to get done? In other words, that you know how to do. What did someone say?
At least maybe 2. You can have 2. Maybe before the end of the day, you might finish 1. Have place on the break.
So I don't know exactly what I heard. I heard 2. I think I might have heard 1 in there. Did someone say 1? I couldn't tell.
I'm saying you can have 2 that maybe then by the end of the day you will finish only 1 because you cannot tackle all of them.
Minimum 1 for each.
Minimum 1 for each.
So 1 for each would be
1.
3, right? You're saying 3? Minimum 1 for each of 3 people would be 3, right?
Yeah.
So you guys think 3 still? Okay.
No,
So
and just before you continue, we also have a challenge. If someone is coming on your body team and that person doesn't know what is priority, they don't know even their responsibility. It's a hard time if you have the body team. You need to get the priority that person also know, or also that person what you are doing. So we cannot say we have 3 of them, they can finish 3 responsibilities. Not everyone knows the responsibility.
Yeah.
Many of us here, we don't know what's really what we do. You just come to join a body team so that we get ours. I think we need also to address how can we get to understand the responsibilities. And before you go and attend someone, maybe body team session, you need also to have some other responsibilities of your mind. And if you join that body team, you need to have something. You said, okay, Albina has a session today. What am I going to do with her? You need also to have a responsibility. You don't just come and say, what are we working on? You ask that person because that session is for Albina. You ask Albina, what are you going to work on today? Yeah.
okay, so I mean, I think what we're getting to is more or less the same thing, and the answer is 1, right? So
Yeah.
like, let's say you have Lucy, you have Albina, and you have well, let's do Lucy with 2 newer people. We have Lucy, Thomas, and Abigail, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have Lucy, Thomas, and Abigail. Lucy, Thomas, and Abigail, you only need 1 focus for work to get work done as a buddy team, right? So
Yes.
if each person has 5 responsibilities and you have 15 priorities at the beginning of the session, and this would be step 4, you decide what overlaps in the group priorities, and you decide what you're going to focus on, right? Or you decide to work on individual work. Okay? So the idea is that as long as 1 person in your buddy team knows how to do something, you're good to go as a buddy team. You just need to get focused on the one thing that's a priority, whatever the highest level priority. Here, I'll try to write this out. You want to focus on the highest level priority that you know how to do. So the top priorities, you might not know how to do them. It doesn't mean they're not priorities, and it definitely means you want to help support the most important priorities. But as long as there's one thing that your buddy team knows how to do, and maybe Lucy, between Thomas and Abigail, Lucy might know the best thing and the best priority to focus on, then you can focus on that, right? But if there's a deadline that needs to get done and Lucy needs to focus on the work, right, and she doesn't agree to all work together and do training, then people need to watch videos or do whatever. People need to be able to work together. So basically another rule for the buddy teams is that, you know, by default, you do individual work and only do trainings and group collaborative work if and only if there is agreement from the whole group. Okay, the whole buddy team, right? The whole group. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if Lucy says, you know, I need to focus on A, right? And Thomas and Abigail are like, I'll help with A, you know, and Abigail's like, I'll help with A, right? And so then Lucy would be doing training on A, right? For Thomas and Abigail, which is perfectly fine, right? And then Thomas and Abigail can learn how to do A. But if Lucy doesn't have time, if A is equal to, you know, hard deadline, and, you know, Lucy needs to focus, then Thomas and Abigail need to work on something else. If they have nothing else to work on, then they can watch a video. And if they don't know what video to watch, then they just can't work. It's like, okay, moving on. You know, if you have nothing to do, then you can't work. But hopefully Lucy will be happy to train Thomas and Abigail to show them how to do whatever it is that they're trying to learn how to do, right? And sometimes it's more important to train someone how to do something that's already done, and then you show them how to do it so then they can do it next time and you don't have to do it, right?
Yeah.
For example, what I'm doing right now, I mean, this is already done for me. I'm showing you guys how to deal with this so that you guys can run the buddy teams better, right? So the most important thing that I'm trying to get here is that, one, we need to focus on work during sessions, and two, we need to you know, ask and be polite about the priorities. You know, what is the priority? Making sure that the priorities are getting done as a whole team is extremely important. So I think there's one other rule here, which would be, you know, when entering a buddy team or asking a question, you want to make sure that that your question is the highest priority in the workflow, right? So the easiest way to do this is just ask, right? I have a question about this responsibility, and you state the responsibility, and then you compare it and you say, is that a higher priority, right? Is that a higher priority from what you're working on, right? If it's a higher priority, then you change the topic of the group and you focus on that priority. All right, but the idea here is that the people who are the higher ranking workers would know what the priorities are, so your focus should be supporting and making sure that they're getting their priorities done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so sometimes helping, sometimes the best way to help the leadership get the priorities done is to watch a video and allow them to do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you just got to play by ear and feel it out and see what's going on. But we have to be able to get work done. So just be mindful of the priorities as best as you can. So what is the opposite of that? What would be the opposite of helping the leadership get work done? Lucy, you say it all the time. What do you say that people do at buddy teams all the time? What is the typical thing that people say at buddy teams that you always repeat over and over again? What is the opposite of getting work done?
I think when you know something, the work will be done. If you doesn't know, nothing will be done. And also we need to cooperate.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically what Lucy always says all the time is that people come to the buddy team and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, what should we work on? I need help with this. I want to learn how to do this priority. I'm not sure how to do my responsibilities because I need more training and this and that and everything, right? That's the opposite. So could someone put that in their own words? Like, what is the opposite of focusing on the priorities? Can someone please put this in their own words really quickly? It's just like the concept of coming into a buddy team and forcing upon the group that you don't know what's going on, that you need help, that you're a whole mess, you're not sure what to do, you like, can someone paraphrase that in their own words, and just say that in their own words, please? Hello, is anyone here?
Yeah, so basically, probably, yes, Jay. Basically going into a buddy team and then people around what they're supposed to do, that they still need training or they still need to figure out a lot of stuff. That's all getting the work done, because as you said many times before, we really have to step up. And one thing, and the first thing to do in order to do this is to figure out yourself what can you contribute, and then learn. Give time to watch the videos and ask the seniors to guide you if you have any questions about it.
Cool. So I mean, basically, some of what you said is correct as far as the best way to go about learning and getting training and stuff like that. But the bottom line, and we'll address that more. There's many ways of doing that. But the bottom line, coming into a buddy team and just saying that you don't know how to do anything and you don't know what to do and that you need training and that you need lots of help and you're not sure what's going on is not going to help anything. It actually makes things worse, because then nothing's organized, nothing's focused, everything's all over the place. Right? So what is the proper way to come into a buddy team? Because what you said is good and correct, but that implies that you're separate from the buddy team, which is not true. When you come into a buddy team, you are a team with your buddy, and you guys are both working together. So what is the proper way as a newbie to come into a buddy team?
I think when you are a new person, there are some videos that have been allocated for you. You will come up with, within those videos you watch, you will come up with the responsibilities that you want to know. When you join that buddy team, you will ask that person, I want to know about this responsibility. Will you kindly help me? understand about this more. Can you train me on that?
That is perfect. That is exactly perfect. And just to emphasize this, when Lucy says, quote, I want to know more about this responsibility, she is not saying, I want to know about responsibilities in general. She's saying, I want to know about this specific stated responsibility. Okay? That's what you do, right? Does someone want to give an example of a responsibility or a priority, just so we can write an example? There's 300
yes,
of them.
For example, I can say I want to know exam value tracking for client.
Well, yeah, I mean, even exit value tracking is technically a project, right? So it wouldn't be a very good example, right? So you shouldn't be, try not to say project. So let's try another one. Maybe from Joyce or someone who's newer, like just any responsibility. Exit value tracking is not a responsibility.
Yeah, tracking.
Again, value tracking is not a responsibility. Value tracking is a project.
I want to know more.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
I want to know more on getting done the EXA payroll.
Okay, so EXA payroll again is a project.
Oh,
I'm in equity.
Okay, that would be a time and equity spreadsheets. Okay, so that's a great example of a responsibility. It's not a priority though. Okay, which is fine. It's not a priority, but it is a responsibility. And so then what if the other buddy that you're with says, that's great, but it's not a priority. Then what? Okay, I'll just tell you guys. So let's say you say, okay, I would like to know more about time and equity spreadsheets. This is extremely clear. It's extremely specific. Your buddy can know exactly what you're talking about. And two things could happen here. One, well, there's three things that could happen, right? One is like, okay, that is a priority. Let's focus on that. And then you guys focus on it. Two, you could say, well, that isn't a priority. Do you have another responsibility, right? You should be listing 5. And that's why we ask you to do 5. The idea of having 5 responsibilities is the goal is at least one of those would be a priority or be higher priority than the other 4 so that we can work on it together. Does that make sense? Right? And then you can start learning 1, and then over time you can get more priorities under your belt. The third option is that I don't know how to do that. Right? And that's another thing. If you have 5 responsibilities, then there's a higher probability that you'll be able to choose one of them that you can work on with your buddy team. Okay? So
Yes.
the most important thing to understand here is that it's perfectly okay if we don't focus on your priority, on your responsibilities and your priorities. Does that make sense? So for example, if we look at mine and Nellie's buddy team today, right? We had a lot of priorities. We have like 20 priorities listed here. We can only work on 1 or 2 at a time, right? And if we work together, we can only work on either my priority or Nellie's priority. We can't work on 2 things simultaneously, or we can do half an hour on one and a half an hour on another, right? So, but the point is that if your priority or responsibility doesn't get prioritized in the buddy team, it's perfectly fine. You just bring it up the next buddy team, and you bring it up the buddy team after that, and you bring it up at the weekly sessions, and you keep pushing your responsibilities and your priorities until eventually you learn about them. But it's perfectly fine to learn about someone else's priority. And if the buddy says, I don't have time for that, I don't know how to do that, then you just focus on watching videos, and that's fine as well. Right? And then maybe it's like, you know, if you know what the priority, the buddy can help you find the right videos to watch, okay? So, I mean, I don't know how much more to explain than that, but are there any questions about how a buddy team is supposed to function and some of the rules and like guidelines on it?
I think you give at least the good.
Yeah.
I don't think whether you left anything else.
Well, but I do want to emphasize one last thing. The most important thing, right, is that buddy teams are not free-for-alls, right? That in a buddy team, it's a very organized, cohesive process where you list your priorities, you agree either to work on a priority together, like let's say me and Nelly decide to work on recruitment, right? So we decide to work on recruitment together, or if we don't agree, then we need to focus on the individual work so that we're organized, right? It's not here to, these are not topics. We're not here to discuss things. The only discussion is how are we going to maximize our work? Okay? And then maybe do some training, but even training should be focused on getting the work done and learning how to do the work as we go along. So I think that's pretty clear.
Yes. What happened if people maybe they just select, they put the responsibility that are not priority. They know that's the only thing they know. They don't want, maybe they don't know other new priorities. They just put minor priorities as their responsibility they're doing every day.
Well, the point of doing minor responsibilities every day is that, one, it keeps you active and engaged and busy, which is what is one thing that we want, right? So it's better for someone to be actively engaged in doing responsibilities that are not priorities than to be doing nothing at all. And plus it's empowering, because if you know how to do something, it's better than having no power to be able to do anything. So as long as someone could do something that's easier, it's better than doing nothing. And over time, when you learn how to do one thing and you get better and better and better at it, and you learn how to work on spreadsheets and work on documents, even if it's not a priority, then the next time we train you to do something that's a higher priority, you'll be better and able to do it faster, right? So overall, we want people to focus on priorities, but if you can train somebody on doing at least something, I mean, there's literally, things that are not priorities, so there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of work of document organizing and equity assets. Like, we need to prioritize. I would love to get to it tonight, but we need to do team equity and daily equity spreadsheets. This is what we call FQN value tracking, and there is endlessness, and it's extremely important. It's a high priority, and it's a huge amount of work, but we never ever get to it, and it's a big problem. Recycles. Okay, I need to take a little break here. So I think we're good on this. The only other thing I wanted to mention on this thing here and is just that we want to maximize efficiency, and that the goal is always to have a buddy team of 2 to 3 people working on individual work, which is 2 to 3 times the work getting done. So the only reason to be working as a group is because you are doing training, or that the work itself is too difficult and problematic for one person, right? So you're having problems. So there's either a problem, difficult, and problem/issues for one person, right? So the only reason you're working as a group is because you're doing training and you're learning how to do it, or that there's problems and issues and you're not able to do it by yourself. it is true. It is more fun to do work as a team, right? But again, when you have 3 people working on one task, that equals 1/3 the efficiency, right? Whereas you have 3 people working on 3 tasks, that equals 3 times the efficiency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So even though we allow people, I mean, we have no expectation that you're going to magically be able to have 3 people in a buddy team all working on separate things simultaneously, right? That is, and then you can ask each other when you have a question, and that's why you have a buddy team. But at the beginning, it's obvious that you're going to need to work together and teach each other, and work as a group, but eventually you want to, once you're done learning it and you know how to do it on your own, you can do it on your own, right? And that's really the beginning of all work sessions, to be getting organized and getting set up on individual work. Like when you do a work session with me, I already have dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds of tasks and responsibilities to do. And I always have something to work on, right? So I come into a buddy team session trying to get work done from the very beginning, right? So anytime that I'm talking with you means I'm not getting work done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So we talk and we collaborate to get all of the the training and the collaboration and answer the questions. And I'm going to have a lot of problems and questions, and I need help on things too. But that's just like the goal. So maybe the first 10 sessions might be collaborative work sessions, but then maybe 1 or 2 you can do individual work and get more efficient, right? But just think about, like, in terms of a rule, always expect that your buddy is doing individual work and has tasks, especially the leadership, right? So we collaborate together and we're working on all the different tasks and everything. What's up? Okay, I'll come help. Did you get the bathroom? Did you get the bathroom stuff? Garbage? Are you sure you don't need any help? All right. All right. Well, I guess I'm good on the work, the household chores. So so it is. I was just saying that there should be the expectation that when you come into a buddy team session, that especially for leadership, that they're getting work done. So if you're asking questions, you need to be assuming that that's going to stop the work, and that you need to address that. And so just be polite. Just be polite and mindful of asking questions and focusing on the priorities. All right. Anyways, I think we're ready to move on. Are there any last questions about buddy team sessions and trying to organize buddy team sessions better?
No question from my side, Jay. It's pretty much good.
Cool. So hopefully this can help, because I've been getting a lot of complaints from, like, anywhere, everything from Lucy, from myself, from, like, even some of the America sessions, where it's just like people are like, well, it's hard to get the work done. But we're gonna get better at it. Like when I first started working with people, I got very little done because I had to spend all of my time training. Like we just, this was like six months ago, maybe 5 months ago, right? We hired like 5 or 6 people, and we started doing endless training, and we didn't get anything done, right? So it took like a month of training to even begin to start getting more done than I was able to do without doing the training, right? So, but that's just how it goes. So the leadership, like Abdul and Lucy, and Nelly and other people and Steve, it's like as we expand and we're bringing new people on, you need to spend time training and working with the new people, even though that might take away from some of your ability to get work done, but it's in the long run, it'll save us tons of time, because the more we train and we work with people, the more that they'll be able to do in like a month from now. But it does take a month of training to like learn how to get all the work done. I mean, it's high level work, and there's a lot to do. So reducing workload is the next topic. Shall we move on to this topic and see how far we can get?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So a couple things here is we want to start prioritizing our responsibilities. We already have overall priorities, but we want to really try to get other things prioritized. Let's take a look at our overall priorities for a bit, and the goal is really to create some cutoffs, right? Create some cutoffs. Because there's just too much to do, and it's just like we gotta get focused, because it's just wow. So let's make some responsibilities here. So one responsibility is to start prioritizing the responsibilities, right? And then the other responsibility is to start prioritizing our projects. And then we also want to prioritize positions. And then we're going to make some cutoffs for what we're going to cut off. So let's just start with some of the overall priorities. So even just this, I mean, this is way more than we could ever do, right? We have urgent deadlines. There's tax penalty issue. This got dealt with. Website fix. Unbelievable. All our websites are down. Not good. Taking care of ourselves. We can't not take care of ourselves. So that's not going to go away. The payroll needs to get done. We need to get Thomas paid. We need to get other people paid. Super high priority that people need to focus on. Worker recruitment. We have to recruit more people, especially in the East Pacific Quintet. Bills. Super important. So all of that is like essential. Exit entities, finance and taxes. I think the finances and taxes need to just happen. So this would be over, let's say, the next 2 weeks. So we want to do more organizing, but that's just going to happen. We're setting up secondary buddy teams better, team budgets. We can wait on that. Investor relations. We definitely have to do the investor relations, especially with Turk Balloon. Do we have a plan for Thursday on that? Bank relations. This is going to have to happen.
Yes, Jim.
We do? Okay, cool. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good there. I would put that here, and then I think this would be, I mean, it's going to happen anyway, so we're doing this with Mel. So that's going to have to happen there. Anya's unemployment insurance request response. Oh my God, that's super question. Transfer money security, exit house. There's this thing called proxies. Exit client relations. We haven't been doing this, and it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do about it? It's like not happening. Might as well not worry about it. Finances and taxes for Exit Inc. done. Exit budgets needs to happen next 2 weeks. Governance write-up, pretty important. Although I think we can get rid of the highlight. Exit taxes via exit mesh, exit master ledger, manual blocks, exit value squared implementation. Yes.
I think exact taxes for exam mesh is done.
No, not done.
Okay.
We had another month, so we have a couple more weeks.
Okay.
So I mean, basically, what else besides this list do you think that we absolutely need to do? Everything else needs to really, what else must get done besides this, right? A couple things that could be thought about is session support. Right, we have to have our sessions. Right, we need to do our sessions, our buddy teams, and organize our work. We need to do worker coordination. Right, and we need to do value tracking, like FQN value tracking. I think it's really important. And then the only other thing I can think about, and I would even put this on another line, is the team budgets and like UMBUS. So if we could somehow get focused on all of this and try to like let go of all of the other stuff for a while and get this stuff done, there's still oh my God, of course, payroll. Right, we can't not do payroll. Can you guys think of anything else that we can't not do that's not on this list?
Yes.
What else? Oh wait, payroll's already on the list. Okay, payroll's already on the list. We got that. Is there anything else that anyone can think of that we need to do that's not on this list? Okay, so let's start doing the more important things. So the topic that we were focusing on here was reducing the workload. So what that means is the question, yeah?
5 minutes left for that topic.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're actually almost done here. So the question here would be, what can we not do? So an example would be like, we technically cannot do the Mars session, the Venus session, right? I mean, we're still going to do them, but like make them public, right? Like public big Mars session, public big Venus session, right? We can technically not do that.
So we want to eliminate that on our timetable.
What?
We want to eliminate Venus and Mars on our calendar.
No, we're not saying we're going to eliminate, but we're just saying like, to do the minimal amount on this, right? So other things that we don't need to do is time and equity spreadsheets. We don't need to do that. Document organizing. We don't need to do document organizing. What else do we not need to do?
Onboarding.
What would be onboarding?
I see always people are putting onboarding spreadsheet.
onboarding spreadsheet. Well, we do need to do recruitment. So if we do recruit people, we do have to onboard them.
Yeah, I know we do have to, but when we have them, when we don't have them, we don't have to work on that.
Yeah, so we need a different category of, you know, maybe under this we can put something like, if needed, you know, onboarding as needed for new recruits. Okay?
Yeah.
So we don't need to focus on the onboarding, but we just do the minimal possible for the new recruits to get the onboarding. Another thing we could technically step back on is, you know, the new calendars, the new Selenium calendar, and the new the Sextant and Quintent implementation. But I personally think that the Quintent and Sextant implementation will help us a lot and help us get work done. So I mean, I'm actually thinking that putting time and effort into our schedule and getting organized in our schedule is actually going to be really helpful because it'll empower people to get a lot more work done. So,
even decision doc.
Yeah, so I would actually say that this is probably right in the middle of, like, you know, near the top, like our team budgets. Like, you know, this is pretty important. So other things that we could not do is all of our programs, partnerships, and other positions, right? So in other words, we want to focus on client positions and not program positions. So an example of this would be like FQN DAO. Even like life support, we don't have to do life support, right? It's fine to do it, but we just wouldn't necessarily focus on it. Other ones would be like the value packaging systems and et cetera, right?
And also, decision doc. People usually put decision doc. Someone say, I'm working on decision doc tomorrow. I'm working on decision doc.
Okay, so I would just say here FQN decision docs, right? But under documentation for the client, we can do client decision docs.
Yeah.
So if people are willing to work on the client decision docs, this is important for our client, and we get paid for that. So that's really important. So can anyone else think of something that we don't necessarily need to do, or to do as minimally as possible? In other words, like not focus on it. I mean, obviously, we're not saying that you can't work on these things. You can work on whatever you want to, you know, because if you know how to do something, you should do what you know how to do. Can you guys think of anything else?
Still try to find thinking of others. But
Cool. All right. So, anyways, I think we'll come back to this, but the general idea is that, you know, we need to be prepared. We need to be able to wrap up all the things we're doing with our client and make sure we're getting done the massive essentials that need to get done, and then make sure that we are not as worried about you know, other priorities. You know, and you know, we need to be ready to bring on new clients. We need to be ready to take on more responsibilities. You know, and if we are getting drowned in all of these tasks and not getting the most important things done, then how can we take on more? Does that make sense? So I think now is the time to downsize and really like focus in on the priorities so that we're able to expand, or at least be prepared to expand into new clients, because we do have a few new possible potential clients coming So we need to be organized, okay?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so let's move on. I think we're at time. Are there any other questions on this as far as our overall priorities? Like everybody should be taking on some of these. For example, Abigail is really excited about helping with the websites and some of these other priorities, which is great. So, and bills, Abigail's gonna help with bills. Yeah. You know, and I'm also thinking like, wait, we call these overall priorities, and I'm thinking there actually is a different category. So we have urgent deadlines, and then we have overall priorities, and then we have team priorities. I actually can open up here. These are the rankings of the types of work. Right here, right? So I'm thinking about another type of work. That
Yes,
would be,
I think that will help when we have a urgent deadline overall priority. It will be really perfect. It will guide us so much.
yeah.
Someone can know what's supposed to be done urgently, apart from coming and work on what is not going to be helpful that time.
Yeah, but this, I mean, this has been around for 6 months, right? This is just the full team doc, has all the information of all of the types of work that need to get done, right? So just like look on the full team doc, it has all the priorities. So the deadlines are the most important thing, but I think there's another type of priority in between the deadlines and the overall priorities. I don't know exactly what to call it, but the essential, urgent, you know, priorities. I don't know what to call them, but the point is that, you know, there's a bunch of priorities that are like don't necessarily need to be in yellow. Like Jorge's entity responsibilities. I mean, this does not necessarily have to be in yellow, right? I mean, we're gonna be okay with that because everything's going on okay with that. But the point is that there's certain things that get in this category of like they are urgently needed to get done, and everything else should be basically put aside till it gets done. Like the websites need to get fixed and we need to focus on that, but we also have all these other things that are like overwhelming. So yeah. So anyways, we might make another category of priorities. The other thing is that we need to finalize our documentation of our responsibilities. So we need a one set of official responsibility spreadsheets. And the more and more I've been thinking about this is that 300 responsibilities on a single spreadsheet is simply too much. I don't think that's good. Does anyone disagree with that? Because it's just too many responsibilities to try to organize. 300 is just too many.
I think if we can just categorize them, okay.
Well, I just think that we should have, like, for example, you know, EXA client responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
And then we would have like FQN responsibilities, other client responsibilities, you know, something like that. Like try to break them out a little bit more so that we have like different categories. So someone needs to take this on as a responsibility. So this would be basically like, you know, set up an organization strategy for our responsibilities so that, you know, we have a, you know, the primary responsibility categories. And then each category would have a spreadsheet, right? So we could, maybe we could downsize it to 3 spreadsheets or 4 spreadsheets, but whatever it is, you know, I mean, maybe we should even make a limit. You know, maybe it's like, you know, limit 100 responsibilities per, you know, per spreadsheet or something like that. I don't know. Maybe even 100 is too many. But the point is that let's try to like get the responsibilities organized, and we could prioritize them. Like let's just do the client responsibilities and then some of the, and then also what we're going to be doing is we're going to, once we start prioritizing the responsibilities, and so you need this is a task, add a column to our responsibilities and priorities and projects for prioritization, right? So this would be like a, a number from 0 to 9 to help prioritize. And I think we can do like 9.5, 5.5, like you can have a decimal. But we need to start prioritizing, and then we need to start cutting off. So maybe we'd have our exit client responsibilities, but we'd have our high priority responsibilities, and this would be like 100. 100 most highest priority client responsibilities, and then medium/low priority responsibilities. So we could break it up into two general categories of responsibilities for the client between the high priority and the medium low priority, right? And maybe it's not 100 and 100, maybe it's 50 and 50. But the point is that let's try to like get our responsibilities organized and under control, because right now it's just not under control.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right, so Asif and Asif. And I think Lucy can help with this as
I'll
well.
help you on setting up, organizing the.
Yeah, and we already have a lot of responsibility docs, and again, this all ends up in the buddy team schedule. So again, however we decide to organize the responsibilities, it needs to end up in the buddy team schedule. So do your best. Like I would love to help out with this too. I'm just too busy to get to it. And I've been wanting to do it for a while, but it's like you guys are already working on it, so I think we're good. So any other questions on getting our responsibilities organized, reducing our workload, getting focused? Like we need to take all of our responsibilities, break them up between high priority and low priorities, and then split them apart and start getting them organized and focused, right? Because it's just too much. We have all of our priorities and all of our responsibilities all mixed up together, and it's getting to be a little problematic. So any last question on organizing our responsibilities, our priorities? I mean, I would say that this right here is our new overall priorities list. And this is what we're not gonna, if you need to work on something that's not a high priority, that's perfectly fine. If that's all you know how to do, that's all good, but do your best to choose a minimum. I think it's our new policy is that you need to choose 2 client responsibilities, 1 overall priority, 1 team priority, and 1 any other responsibility. Okay?
Yes.
Right.
So this is what this is for. It's like you can choose 1, whatever the hell you want to do, so you know how to do something. But your other ones need to be priorities either for the client or for the team and overall. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so let's get this in the full team doc and have this updated. And this is just at least for the next couple weeks. So thank you guys for taking the time to do this, because I think it helps get us all on the same page. Like, I don't think I can explain to you guys how amazing it would be to get all this organized and get all this out of the way. Like, there should not be anything yellow here. All this should not be yellow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, we shouldn't have. And I think we're gonna also update this. We're gonna have this new category, the essential urgent priorities. So everything that's yellow here would be the essential urgent priorities, and the overall priorities, it shouldn't be yellow. They just shouldn't be that way. And there's also the swamp priorities.
I'm asking, where should I get decision doc for clients to update on client decision doc?
Well, I mean, I think the best thing to do is just to follow our policies. Is that, just prioritize it. That would be a next step. So at our next session, just prioritize. Hey, I want help with learning how to do documentations for the decisions doc for our client. right? Client decision stock. I've gone over it before. You might be able to find it in the videos, but we might have just covered it on the side. So just bring it up in the next meeting or a buddy team session, and we can go through it. It won't even be that hard. It's really important too.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions on reducing our workload and getting priorities and responsibilities clearly laid out?
It's really clear for me.
Yeah, for me too.
Okay. All right. So how are you guys doing? We're in an hour and a half. Do you guys want to stop, or do you want to go on to new recruitment training videos?
Yeah.
I think we should aware this half an hour.
I think recording you do that yesterday. I don't know what else again. Creating docs, responsibility, organizing.
We just want to make sure that these videos are in the new recruit training videos. But that's not the point. The point is that we either need to wrap up or we need to go on to the next topic. Do you guys want to continue to go on to the next topic, or do you guys want to wrap up? Because you guys have been going for 2.5 hours.
We can wrap up.
So you guys want to stop and wrap up? All right, so this would go into our next steps and topics. I feel like we had more than that.
Already I put that one there already. The one you copied. Maybe other things. Yes.
Okay, so from here we do have a lot of overall priorities that need to make sure we have people helping out with. Oh, look, see, Joyce put her name next to a couple things. That's good. I mean, for me, that would be really nice to like actually get some people signed up for some of these things, to have it be like that we know they're going to get done, or at least people are going to help with it. You know, we know Steve's doing this. Thank you, Shigimi. That is what I'm talking about. So Shigimi says you can help with the payroll as well. We need to prioritize that. For entities, we have Nelly said she's going to help with that. The master ledger manual blocks is Jorge and Nelly. Anya's unemployment insurance request. I need to do that. If someone could help me with that, make sure it happens, that would be great. Treasure, support, payroll, house proxies. Steve's supposed to help with this, but we could use more people. There might be this other thing too, which is I don't even want to put it. It just can't be a priority right now. But they want us to do some risk and security stuff. Risk and security. I don't know. It might happen. But this would be related to documentations. Whoops. Steve, you always say you're down to help out with money security. Exit budgets. Nelly was helping out with this some. If anyone wants to help with the budgets, Easy exit mesh, we gotta get Zelu back on this for sure. Exit value squared implementation, measure support. So does everyone have something to do, or is there anyone missing? Lucy, what are you working on?
I can work on recruitment.
Okay. And what about
And also payroll.
payroll?
Yep.
Is there anyone else here that we're missing? Aline, do you have something to work on? Abdul and Aline?
Yes, I'll help Abigail on bills.
And then is there anything for you, Abdul? What are you working on?
I can also join on Zulu and Steve on finances and taxes.
Great. And what about you, Abdul? You're not on here anywhere. We're gonna add you for some documentations. You down to help out with that? Some. Abdul, are you here, Abdul? I think you're on mute. Or not, Abdul?
He's not even mute. I think he's away maybe.
Okay, he's probably just not here. All right, so anyways, this is just what we want to do when we're wrapping up here. So if we look at our wrap up, we would want to do our next steps and our responsibilities, our tasks. So Asif and Lucy are going to make sure that we get the responsibilities and projects starting to get prioritized, as well as set up the organizational strategy for the responsibilities. We also want people to help actually start prioritizing the responsibilities of projects and the positions. So I think, Lucy, you're responsible to start prioritizing some of the positions, and we can go over that some together as well. Does someone want to help with projects and responsibilities?
Okay, I'll help.
Anyone who's trying to help Lucy?
Yeah, Asif.
Okay, Lucy. All right, cool. So, I mean, just do your best. Like, once you guys get started and you get it all set up to actually be able to prioritize, then you can actually go through and start prioritizing them. I can help prioritize the projects, but eventually we want to start getting everything prioritized so that we can get more focused and organized.
So if these are priority, we can do it our own time. Yeah.
No, it's not really own time priority. It's not really it's
Okay.
good to do and get it done, but it makes so much more sense to do it together. Like, prioritizing things together as a buddy team is much more effective, for sure. Cool. All right. So next, are there any other next steps that we want to cover in our next meeting that we can think about? I guess we have a lot here. So we want to do the new recruit training videos, sextant schedule. I mean, you guys can do this. We just want to make, I mean, these are tasks, right? It's just like, make sure that in the new recruit training videos doc, right, that make sure the recordings training is linked. Make sure the creating docs trainings are linked, right? And this should include adding docs to the global folder. We have training for all this stuff, and then most importantly, make sure.
I think we have training videos for new recruit training videos. I'll be not create that doc.
I know. So I'm just saying we want to make sure that within those training videos, it has the links to the recordings for training videos, the creating docs, and make sure that responsibility organizing is included. So these just all need to be included in the list of training videos for new recruits. at the top.
Yeah.
These would be some of the most important videos to watch. Like, you know, we should have the top 10, right? Top 10 most important videos for new recruits. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's add that to the list, right? So update, it's another task, update the new recruit training videos doc to have the top 10. All right, so we want to have the top 10 videos. Can you do that, Lucy, or can someone help Lucy with that, or?
Maybe if someone is willing to help, no problem. I'll do that.
Cool, thank you, Lucy. And then these are gonna be videos that are gonna be in the top 10. These 3 right here. Okay, so next steps. Any other next steps? Let's list all the rest of the next steps. We had the schedule section. If anyone wants to help me with this is actually going to be a responsibility that I am doing and getting up the whole new schedule and everything. Exam managed positions. Jorge's supposed to be helping with this. If anyone else wants to help with this, it's extremely important. I think Lucy, you would be good as well if you can.
Yeah.
Because you're helping with all of the positions. So we just want to make sure that the exam manager positions are coordinated well. Other new moon topics, we have a huge list there. Austrasia session schedule, we'll get to that. Venus Mars session outreach, independent information plasma, we'll get to that. Exit DAO. I mean, the exit DAO is just, it's yeah, maybe we'll get to that. So basically more information about our client, okay? Because we do tons of work for the client all the time, but we don't actually talk about what the client does because we're not involved in the actual work of the client. We just are, you know, running their organization for them, right? And all the finances and taxes and legal and payroll and everything, right? But we're not actually involved in the day-to-day like creativity. Oh my God, team equity and daily equity spreadsheets. Like, how are we gonna get this prioritized? We need to get this done. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make the new, the quarter moon session tomorrow night, so don't expect me to be there. But you guys should have a plan for that. That would be something that would be a priority.
Which team equity do you talk about? I think we have the recent one. Is it a different one? You want to create a new?
But it's a preparation for our quarter moon session.
Okay.
So that would be a
So now the
priority.
calendar is not working. How can someone open and inform people about that and update, a quick update?
I'm confused. What?
Because the calendar, Google Calendar is not working. How can someone update now us on that? Or you just go to UTC only? You just tell them like that?
Yeah, just tell them on Skype. You know, so we want to do the preparation for the quarter moon session. We can see what time the calendar's at by just going to the calendar on your Google Calendar. So you just go to calendar.google.com. And we should be able to see it. So it's quarter moon session right here. So it says it's at 6 p.m. Again, people need to when they're organizing this stuff, you need to delete the buddy teams before and after. Right? So you would get rid of all of these buddy teams that happened before and after. So that's extremely important. You know, also send a message to Nelly, you know, reminder to delete sessions before and after and during natural time sessions, right? It shouldn't be back to back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so that's one thing that needs to happen. Then from here, we need to get the time. So it's 6 p.m., 7 p.m. America's time, 7 a.m. Australia time, and 1 a.m. UTC.
Okay, that's good.
For the quarter moon sessions. So what we need to do is we need to create an agenda, you know, prep the doc, et cetera, et cetera. Just be prepared for the session. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. So if somebody could help get the session prepared, this can all be done at any time outside of buddy team sessions. So does anyone want to work on this?
Yes.
Who is that?
Lucy.
Does anyone want to help Lucy?
Me, Shigami.
Shigami. Cool. So Shigami doesn't know a lot about it, but you guys can still work together. And
Yes.
And Lucy, you can ask Shigami to do things for you. You could show her how to like send the messages out. And also like you can create the doc in advance, but you can start thinking about an agenda. Like what are things you don't necessarily need me to be there? If I can be there, I'll be there. Like the Australia session schedule, you know, the team budgets, you know, you guys could probably work that out. And there's other aspects of it. You could even go over the exam management positions, right? So anyways, there's things that you guys could do without me, and you guys should plan for that, okay?
Okay.
And this would be, you could do whenever you want to. It just needs to happen, and then you have 24 hours, less than 24 hours. Okay, and so anyways, we're doing a little more wrap-up today. This is what wrap-up looks like. It's like where you basically go over all the next steps, the responsibilities, the tasks. Sometimes you do evaluation, you know, and then we get into our schedule, which we're doing now. And then we did finalize the schedule for next week. So we have the Venus session instead of the Australia session, and that's been verified. And then the Mars session is going to be on Saturday. And again, we need to delete these sessions. Like both of these need to be deleted. So we need to get Nelly on that. So if you can remind Nelly about that, that would be extremely helpful. Can you do that?
You can indicate next to that one so that if I send a message, I just.
Say what?
You can indicate where Nelly on this, like I'm going to send her the message, remind her to delete the buddy team that or now.
Yeah. So the ones she would be deleting, and anyone who's working on the calendar in the future, it's like the Mars session takes precedence. It only happens once a year. So it takes precedence over like the network core team meeting, which happens twice a month. So you would delete it temporarily. So you would click the delete button, and then you would say only this instance. So you just delete it for just this one time, and then it'll automatically happen the next time. And the same thing would be for Kanisha and Jay. We would only this instance, we would delete that. The same thing would happen for the quarter moon session. We need to get rid of this buddy team.
I can also do that because I can access the calendar.
Yeah, if you can do that, that's great. But we also need to remind Nelly to do that because she was involved in setting these up. And so we just,
I'll
perfect. All right, well, I mean, I think we're good. There's tons of work to do. But if we just get focused and people keep prioritizing all the priorities and we keep pushing them, we're going to get it done. So I think we're good. So let's go. Any last things that people want to say as a next step? Any other responsibilities? Questions on anything? Well, let's check out. Asif, do you want to start?
Yeah, Jay, obviously, actually, this was a pretty good session in terms of, assigning the responsibilities. Just one point over there that we should take our responsibilities and it must be done. If Jay has assigned any kind of task or responsibility, it must be done in a timely manner so that we can get organized. And yeah, there was a good session from Jay, and hope to get work done as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add into that, I just want to add really quickly that all of these priorities that we're talking about here, you know, you don't necessarily know how to do them, but you can prioritize them. You can keep bringing it up over and over again. Make sure that somebody is doing them. Remind me about it, you know, and we could slowly but surely give you information. Once you learn how to do it, you can work on these all the time. They're high level priorities, and you can work on them even when buddy teams are not scheduled, okay? But you do need to keep prioritizing them so that we can train you on them. Aline, you want to check it out?
Yes. Pretty good today, and thank you for these sessions. Another another lesson to be learned.
I guess I'll check out next. I thought this was a pretty good session. I feel like it still goes really slow. I know part of that's just like global organizing is extremely slow and difficult. But I do hope in the future we'll have more interaction. More energy, excitement. Whatever, because it's still a little bit. Like it's just a lot of silence, it's a lot of, it's like if I have all this energy and ready to move on and then it just kind of doesn't go anywhere, sometimes it can be hard to get through things because it just doesn't seem like we're focused or whatever, Check. Lucy.
Yes, the session was really good. At least we come up with the way we will document our priorities, our responsibilities. Still we have to learn more on that, to categorize the different, and I think in future we will put the category of urgent responsibilities alone, and that is not the minor responsibilities. But you really guide us on that. During the morning session, I think people will this will guide them on what to do. They have at least the guideline that can help us. It also help me, not only other people. They really help me to learn more, especially during our body team session. People usually get confused and they don't know the responsibility they take up. But now we have a guideline. When before you enter, you have to read. You know what you should do. The responsibilities that are not really, they're not a really responsibility. They're minor. We have priority one and we have the minor. At least we have a way to go. And thankful today, I'm going to do value tracking. Maybe someone can help me on that.
Would someone like to help Lucy on the value tracking?
Yes, I will help you, Lucy.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So who is last here? We have Shigimi.
Yeah, thank you guys for today's session. I think this is pretty good because we are more clear. Things are more clear. The priorities and the responsibilities are more targeted. That we have identified which ones should go first and which ones are kind of minimal work. I am excited to work close and learn a lot of things from her.
One other thing I want to just throw out there, because I think that we are lacking in communication, is, and I don't even know where to write this, next steps. Let's talk about it in next steps. So another next step would be basically like, asynchronous communication, right? So we have Skype, right? But Skype is not like the best for more in-depth messaging, but we also have email, right? So you can always email me, unitynetglobal@gmail.com is a good way to reach me. I have lots of other emails, but that's like the best one to keep it focused and organized. Also, we have a contact list with all of our contacts, right? And we can also create email update lists, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is that, and then we also have online forums, right? We have online forums that we can get active, and we have a Slack. We have a Slack as well. But the point is that you can send me a message. You can send Jay or anyone an email or a message and ask for help. So if it's like, what do we do for the websites? What do we do for the exit value tracking or the FQN value tracking? Write an email if you want to. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should create a group of WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group. So there already is an Andromeda WhatsApp. So you could create. So someone could create a Sonic WhatsApp, right? You could create your Africa WhatsApp, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So each team can have its own WhatsApp. I don't think we necessarily need to do. I mean, we could do like a group, a larger group update WhatsApp, but that would just be like more of a one-way thing with everybody across the whole world. But each individual team can have its own WhatsApp, just like we have our Skype groups. Okay.
I'll create a spreadsheet where each and everybody will enter his phone number and all that, so we can create a group of.
Well, we have a contact list already.
Okay, yeah, got it.
People who know about the contact list would be like James, Nelly. I think Lucy knows about it as well. So just talk to James and Nelly, and they can get you the information in the contact list, and then you can add everybody to the WhatsApp.
I can get your contact list assistant.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, I think it would be good to do like, I think it's great to have the buddy teams but it's like if you have questions, you have your 2 hours during your buddy team, you can write an email, you can send a message, you can ask me questions. I mean, a lot of the work you guys are going to be doing is going to be on the other side of the world while I am sleeping. So, a lot of what's going to happen as we get more active and organized, and as we set up the sextants and the quintants, and we have more people, it's just going to happen asynchronously. There's no way for us to be able to get everything done during every single time that we're in like a global session or whatever. It's just there's just a limit to it. So if you guys each one of you sent me an email, right, and I got 10 emails. It might take me like a couple weeks to get to every single one of them, depending on how complicated they are. Like if you're asking for detailed explanation of how to do some particular responsibility, it might take me an hour or so to write that out for you, as opposed to do the training, But then once it's written out, then it'll be easier to do the training with when we do meet, and things can go faster. But, I think a lot can happen over email and WhatsApp and documents and asynchronously, okay?
Yeah.
So let's be sure to cover this in next steps, like more asynchronous communication and collaboration, okay? And global collaboration. I think that is something missing, that you guys don't send me emails when you can. You can send me email anytime you want to. All right, so let's make sure we didn't miss anyone. Did we get to everybody? Do we still have Joyce? Do we still have checkouts? Joyce. Yes, Joyce. Is Joyce still here?
She's not there.
Oh, she's gone. Okay.
Joyce, Abdul, Albina, all of them.
Is anyone else here?
Yeah. There's just 5 of us.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're done then. So we can say that some of the people left like a half hour early.
Yeah.
So some people left 5 hours early. So this would be like Abdul, Joyce, Rhodes. Is Rhodes here?
No, Albina.
Albina left early too? Okay. All right. I think we are officially done. Good work.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. And I mean, I know you guys have only been here a few weeks, and I know it's all confusing. There's a lot going on, but just give it another, month or two, and then eventually there'll be new people here that don't know what's going on, and you guys will know, way more than they do.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Ciao. Oh, and Asif, just let me know whenever you hear from Nadar about when we're gonna do the meeting. I'll be up whenever we need to in the middle of the night or during the day, whenever he's available. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know.
Yeah, and just go ahead and send me any additional information, if you get it. Otherwise, we'll just do the call and see where things go.
Right.
Okay. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.